Kansas State football coach Chris Klieman with me. David Smoke, 365 Sports, and always great to have the Wildcats head coach. So let's start with the trip to Dublin. And that's where you open up with, Iowa State. What was that like? Was it more of a reconnaissance or just get to know it? Had you ever been there before?
Had never been there before. Good to be with you, by the way. And something that I wanted to see before we went out there. And we had sent another group, a couple groups to just get the lay of the land. But as the head coach, I just felt like I needed to see the meeting space, the stadium, the locker room, just all the things surrounding it, as well as just get to see the town a little bit and get to see the country of Ireland. And so my wife and I went with Gene Taylor and Kathy Taylor, his wife, and had 5 days out there. People were great. They love their sports out there. It's a really busy city. Dublin is, but I think it's gonna be a great opportunity for both institutions, for both fan bases. I know both fan bases will come out in droves, and so I thought it was a great opportunity for. If I'm 57, it's my first time going over to Ireland, and we got a chance to do this for 18 to 22-year-olds. I thought we needed to do it.
Have you talked to any of the coaches that have been there the last couple of years to open up the year? I know Northwestern played Nebraska, Florida State, Georgia Tech. Have you spoken with them about just some of what they experienced?
Yeah, we've reached out to most of those, whether it's myself, a strength staff, an administrative staff, and the overriding message was do it. It's the greatest experience you have. Even though I know there's some things that are going to be taxing as far as the travel going out, getting their bodies acclimated to the time change, playing the game, and then the travel coming back, getting back acclimated and playing again the next week. And that was the other thing that for the most part, everybody said, if you can play the next week, play the next week to get yourself into a groove of playing a season. We'll figure out when the bye weeks are. But yeah, we reached out to an awful lot of people, from everything from the food to field surfaces to meeting space to the travel. And the Aer Lingus people and the people of Ireland have been nothing short of phenomenal as far as getting everything that we would need to make it a successful trip for the guys.
You did, as a staff program, a really good job, appears, of retaining your roster. There's always going to be some comings and goings. You've had that, but do you feel like that you pretty much retained who you had to? I know you never want to lose anybody, and sometimes someone leaving might be a good thing. Do you feel good about how you went through that transfer portal?
Yeah, we do. We're going to be a developmental program. We're going to be a program that needs to have guys in that locker room 3, 4, and 5 years. Still a handful of 6-year guys this last year, but for the most part, we kept all of our productive people on offense in the skill ranks. All of our guys on defense that had significant time. We lost a couple of early entries to the draft in Jacob Parrish and DJ Giddens, but I think we have some young guys that are ready to emerge at both those spots. And then we ended up adding um, probably 12 transfers, some out of total necessity, where we were maybe thin at a couple positions, and then some to just maybe build some depth. But this new roster size is what everybody's going to have to go about here after this house settlement. That it's going to drastically change, I believe, in some of the developmental programs like ourselves. We didn't bring many walk-ons in this year.
That is what K-State did to turn the corner with Coach Snyder, and what you've done as well is the walk-on ability. I mean, really, the talent, finding diamonds in the rough is it's not that you're scared that you can't do that anymore. You can, but how does that change? Because you all probably, as much as anybody, were really good about finding walk-ons who became scholarship players.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think there's a lot more schools than just us. I mean, I think of the schools that I grew up around in University of Iowa, even Iowa State. I know Oklahoma State. I know some of the larger schools around us have always lived on walk-ons. And at North Dakota State, we won a lot of national championships with walk-ons, and that's a bad thing for college football to take those opportunities away. Recency for us. Brendan Mott was the defensive lineman of the year, walked down here. Ben Sennett, who was one of the best tight ends in the league for a few years, was a walk on here, those kids wouldn't have an opportunity, and they're playing at the next level right now. And I just don't think it's a good thing for college football to take opportunities away from young men that just want to go to school, just want to be a part of the team. And yeah, if they earn a scholarship, that's their goal. But we're taking those opportunities away, and we're taking some of the development away.
So you did have one loss that might affect you a little bit because he was so good. He's now with the Cowboys, an offensive line coach, Connor Riley. What was that discussion like? It's a great opportunity for him, but it seems as if you've been able to find somebody to fill that role and move forward with what you do, which is play great on the offensive line.
Yeah, Connor Riley's best offensive line in college football for the time I had him here. And Connor and I are so unique because we were assistants together at North Dakota State. And then when I became the head coach, hired him right away, changed his position to O-line. He was tight ends. When I came down here, was the first guy I said, come on, let's go, Riles. I love Connor and Christy and their family, but what a great opportunity to go to the next level. And it wasn't like he was going to be the assistant O-line coach, and some guys leave to be a quality control. This guy was going to be the head offensive line coach of the Dallas Cowboys. How could I be disappointed? I was so excited for him. On the flip side, I knew at some point I was probably going to lose Riles somewhere. And so we've
Mm-hmm.
always kind of groomed people for that next spot. And Brian LePack has been with us for, I think, 4 years now, and we had him at tight ends. And I told Brian, if there's an opportunity ever where we can move you back to your normal position of offensive line, we were going to do that. Plus, I brought back Drew Little last year, who was been an offensive lineman here, coached offensive line for us some, went to UTEP with Dana, and then got back here this past year. And now with this new rule where a lot of guys can coach and you don't have to have such a limited staff of on-field coaches, I was able to elevate Drew to really have two offensive line coaches. So you can't replace Riles, but for us to have Coach LePack and Drew Little that have been around our program and know our kids, I thought it was the best we could do, and they're going to do a great job.
After the bowl game and the win against Rutgers, and then there's kind of that buffer time where you have to worry about your roster and all that along with your staff, but then it goes off season. And your strength and conditioning coach and Drew Carroll, this is when you mold guys bigger, better, faster, and stronger. We saw DJ Giddens at the pro day in Frisco this past week, and he was raving about some of what these your players did at Combine in Indianapolis or elsewhere, the timing. How
Yeah.
much of an impact really does a strength and conditioning coach have when there's that buffer period?
Yeah, it's the biggest impact of anybody in the program between the strength coach, the athletic trainers, the nutritionist, and our sports science people. I think we're on a cutting edge of doing a lot of really special things here at K State. I'm fortunate Gene Taylor's given me the resources from the strength and conditioning, but as well as the sports science and nutrition to build those guys. And we did it a little differently this year. We extended our winter conditioning an extra couple weeks rather than starting spring ball early. Did that for a lot of reasons. One of the reasons was we wanted a longer cycle to start with, so that our strength coach had those guys a little bit in January, all of February, all of March. So we're not starting spring ball till April, just to give our guys that extra few more weeks to put on that muscle mass and to put on that extra weight. And so, but every coach will tell you the strength coach is the heartbeat of your program because they're with the guys more than anybody else. And we've got one of the best in the business with Tremaine Carroll and his staff.
Uh, Chris, when we had you on in Vegas at Big 12 Media Days, you were talking about trying to change or look at the change of the model in the spring and summer to more the pro type model of OTAs and much more. Saw where Deion Sanders was discussing scrimmaging maybe, and Fran Brown at Syracuse said, hey, we're in if that was allowed. How much do you think that would help? And how much, especially with all the transfers that happen after spring football practice? And are you
Yeah.
still behind that idea?
Well, a couple things. I think some things are going to change with the calendar, and it may still be another year or two. And we're trying to narrow the transfer portal window. We're trying to get it from 2 to 1. We'll see if that passes.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I know that everybody sees this a little differently, and that's good. Everybody's got their own way of doing things. I think it's a great idea to bring a couple schools together, but you're still going to maybe not go your best players against their best players all the time for fear of injury. And I mean, football's a physical sport. You're not going to go, 50% and get better. You got to go full out to get better. So that's the great part of spring is you get to go really hard, go against your good players and stuff, but you can pull some of your guys back. The competition would be great to see where you're at if you brought another school in here. I think there's a lot of logistics to things. I know this. If we went down to Baylor for 3 days, I don't know who's paying for that.
Yeah.
We're trying to save money for revenue sharing, just like Baylor is if they came up to our place or all these schools. And I know that there'd find ways to do it. There's fine resources to do it, but you're also taking away from something else. And so I don't know if that's going to gain any traction or legs. Ultimately, I really believe this is going to turn into an NFL model in due time, as far as just going to OTAs in the summer and eliminating spring football all in all. I really believe that that's going to happen. Now, does that happen in my lifetime in the next 5 to 7 years? I don't know. Does it happen in the next couple of years? It might. I know some people are going full go on spring ball, and some guys are really cutting back, because if you get a guy injured in spring ball, is that guy a part of your 105? Nobody's answered that question for us yet. If a kid gets injured, is he a part of that 105? Nobody's
Never.
answered it. And if they have, they're very vague on it, because he can be on injured reserve. We know there's some unanswered questions, but everything we do right now in college football has unintended consequences, and that's unfortunate right now.
I didn't think about that, because the NFL, if you have a 53, I think it might even be 58, whatever, they've changed that number. You have a practice squad and the injured reserve, so you can have different pockets that don't lead to what is the active roster. So that's a great question. The Big 12, Arizona State made a really great run at the end of the year, and then, of course, had Texas in trouble until the Horns made a big play. One team out of 12. Now there's thoughts if they go to the automatic qualifiers. That's being discussed to 2 out of 16. What are your thoughts about earning a spot in the playoff, and how many automatic qualifiers do you think is a good idea or not?
Yeah, I'm gonna let somebody else probably decide that. I think if you're in the Big 12 championship game, those two teams should be in. And I know you want to reward the team that wins it, but I think that extra game, I think last year would have been an awful thing had SMU not gotten in. I think that was the situation everybody was talking about, was how are they they made the championship game. If they don't play the championship game, they're in. I think some of those things, I'll let some of the other people decide that. I think there's some merit maybe that people are talking about, changing the schedule up and having one play 4 and 2 play 3, and letting those two winners be your automatic bids. But unless we can get it where everybody's playing the same amount of conference games, as well as either playing a Power 4 opponent for that next game or not, then none of this should be talked about. Unless we can get everybody playing the same amount of conference games, it's not equal. And I know that there's another argument on the other side of that, because of the gauntlet of the schedule that people face. Let's either play everybody as their Power 4 schools, and we'll play whatever 11 or 12 of those games, or everybody play 9, everybody play 10. But you can't tell the imbalance of scheduling right now at all. And last year we played BYU, we played Iowa State, we played Colorado, and we played Arizona State. Not everybody in our league played all those teams, and we played 3 of those 4 on the road. Nobody knew that those were going to be the top 4 teams, and so and we didn't play any Texas schools other than Houston last year. Well, this year we have BYU, we have TCU, we have Tech on there. You never can tell, because of the transfer portal, what one school is going to be from year to year. And so we've got to find a way to get the schedule a little bit more balanced, conference to conference first.
Yeah, and I know this is never going to happen again, but when there were 10 teams, everybody played everybody, and 1 year home, next year away, and then everybody played 9 games in the Big 12. And I know that that's get off my lawn type stuff for me, but I wish it was still there. What did you learn about yourself? You guys went through a tough stretch when you had those losses 3 out of 4 weeks, and then you won the bowl game. What did you learn about Chris Klieman during that time?
You're always going to have adversity, and we've dealt with adversity here. And I always feel like that's one thing that's been a signature of our program. We've always come out on the other end of adversity better. You got to learn from it. You're going to lose some games, and I know nobody wants to. No fan bases, no players, no coaches want to lose games. There's more parity now in college football. I think people see that because of the transfer portal. But it's how you respond, and I guess what made me proud is we still won 9 games, and we won our bowl game, which gave us some momentum to go into the next year. And I don't know, there's not many schools that have won 9 or more games the last handful of years, including the conference title. And so, yeah, we want to always play in the championship game, and we always want to strive for being in the Big 12 championship with an opportunity to get to the college football playoff. But you're going to have adversity, and sometimes it makes you stronger. And I learned stuff about myself and about our team, but how can I maximize what we have every year? And you're learning every year. That's the hard thing about playing a conference game, even though it's in Ireland on week one. There's going to be new guys added to Iowa State's roster, new guys added to our roster. That's the challenge right now in college football, with the amount of turnover that there is on rosters every year, of playing those big time opponents on week one, because you just don't know.
You know, Chris, I appreciate everything you've done, from what you did growing up as a young coach to what you did at North Dakota State. And of course, a lot of guys have come from that system, including Craig Bowles, who's here in Waco at the American Football Coaches Association, and others as well. Do you think the Big 12 has done a great job of giving coaches like yourself, Matt Campbell, and others an opportunity to climb the ladder, to prove they could win at another level? And is that done? You think that's a trend that's going to get even more so as we move forward?
I think so, and I hope so. I had the opportunity because of the athletic director that hired me at North Dakota State, hired me here, and I know he caught a lot of grief for that, and I caught a lot of grief for just going to where your friends are at. But I think it's worked out, and we've played really good football here. I look at Lance, who's been a good friend of mine at KU, that
Yep.
did it at the Division III level. I know that Campbell's done it at the Division III level. One of my best friends in this business is Matt Ince, and he was at North Dakota State and then went to USC as a linebacker coach. Now he's at Fresno State as the head coach, climbing the ladder. And I've said it since the day I got here: football is football, and there's a lot of great players. That come from lower levels, and there's even better coaches that can come from lower levels because they've had to do everything. I was the head coach, I was the defensive coordinator, I was kind of the recruiting coordinator a little bit. Some of those things make you better, and I hope that more and more um, coaches get an opportunity. You see it a little bit in basketball with some of the mid majors going to Power Four, and I hope you continue to see it, as well as the up and coming assistants getting an opportunity to be head coaches. And I wish some of those guys would take jobs at lower levels and not feel like it's a step down to take a job at a group of five or an FCS that are really good programs. Because in the end of the day, you're getting a chance to lead your own program.
One more question on your running back, Dylan Edwards. I know that DJ's moving up to the NFL. Hopefully, he gets a chance, that opportunity. What kind of offseason has Dylan had? Heard he's got some weight on. He's had a great offseason. Just want to hear it from you.
Yeah, he's had a great offseason. He's one of the fastest kids in the country, for sure, one of the fastest in the conference. He's such a physical player for a guy that is not the biggest guy, but he has put on really good weight. He's added about 10 pounds to his frame. I think the thing that is underrated about Dylan, I think pound for pound, in fact, I know pound for pound, he's the strongest kid on our football team. When you look at squat numbers and clean numbers and stuff, he very similar to what Deuce Vaughn was. Deuce was one of the strongest kids pound for a 170-pound kid on our football team, and Dylan's the same way. And I'm excited for Coach Wells because Matt's done this for a long time. He's going to get the ball to our playmakers.
To have a head coach who's been a head coach as your offensive coordinator, with the changes in your staff, that has to be kind of that's a win.
That's a huge security blanket for me. And Matt and I have been really good friends for a long time. And I was lucky to be able to bring him here for a year to kind of learn what we were doing. And then when Riles got the opportunity to Dallas, it was kind of a no-brainer for me to elevate Matt and give him a chance to run it. And he's the head coach of our offense, just like Kleinerman's the head coach of our defense. I let those guys be. I let them coach. I let them make mistakes. I let them thrive. I make sure that the players know that those guys are in charge on their side of the ball. And you can tell Matt's going to be a head coach here relatively soon again. But what a great opportunity for our players to learn under somebody like Matt that has done this before at a high level.
Do you get the not butterflies, but that nervous, fun energy right before spring drills every year, just like you do in August every year, just like you do before the opening game every year?
I think it's more the excitement of just getting to see some of the younger guys that maybe didn't play as much, trying to find out where some of the transfers fit in, if they where how much they can help you. Do we have them in the right spot playing? As well as like for us, we brought in some wide receivers,
Yep.
high school and from the portal for Avery to get a chance to build a rapport with and build some chemistry with. I think all those things are always exciting, and then you always want to make sure that you're progressing from a scheme standpoint and from an evaluation standpoint. And obviously, everybody wants to stay healthy.
Thank you very much, Coach. Appreciate it. It's always great to talk to you, Chris. Thank you. Thank you.
Sounds good. We'll see you this summer.
Yes, sir. Kansas State football coach Chris Klieman on 365 Sports.